Hello and welcome everyone to yet another episode of FPL Escapades. I'm Kshitij and as always I'm joined by two of my best friends Akshay and Anand. Uh, FPL is fairly underway and I personally had an okayish game week and I'm pretty sure Akshay and Anand being the amazing fantasy managers that they are definitely had a better game week courtesy the last two games wherein Chelsea and Wolves might have given them returns. I personally am at 73. It is not that bad a score, but unfortunately, I had four players who did not play in my team. So essentially, nobody came off my bench. And Vinagre actually gave me zero, giving that Martial and Taylor were not playing. So, boys, welcome to yet another episode. And the endeavor continues to reach new heights in Fantasy Premier League. Akshay, I'll start with you. How was the game week? Reece James saving it for you, I suppose.
Yeah, the game week was not so good before the Reece James Hall, and I'm really glad that he got the goal. Really amazing goal, top corner stuff, and he also got an assist. So lucky that Reece James gave me a double-digit haul, and ending up with 77 points for the first game week, more than I was hoping for. So long journey ahead. Yes, really buzzing for that.
Oh, crazy man. Yeah, I think that like even I'm really like unhappy on 73, but given the fact that it's just game week one and most of it is all luck, given that Salah gave was my captain and gave me 20 points, scored a hat trick. So yeah, I'll take it as well. 73, not a bad score. Anand, how was your game week? How did you fare?
Yeah, 76 points. A little bit disappointed because I left Mitchell on the bench and Burr from Wolves was ahead on my bench. So Burr came on for Vinagre and gave me just 1 point. And had it been Mitchell, it could have been six more points. So I finished with 76. Uh, I'm, because I had Salah as my captain and day one of when I finished the day one, I had points. I had 69 points. So this game week was spanned over 3 days. So after 3 days, ending on just 76 is a little bit of a disappointment. But I'll take it. And let's move on, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like finally, we've seen all the teams in action, barring four. United, City, Aston Villa still to play their first game. So yeah, for me personally, I think yeah, definitely. When I looked at scores after the first day, I was almost getting depressed because apart from Salah, nobody and Aubameyang, nobody gave me returns, and I was banking a lot on Timo Werner. But considering that he's not a differential at all, yeah, so it happens. I mean, yeah, we now since someone has passed or multiple players would have passed our eye test. And so, yeah, to all of our listeners, we hope that you also had a great game week one. If you did not, don't worry. Remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint. We've been discussing about it a lot. So yeah, looking forward to game week two. And so yeah, let's just dive right in, boys, to the essentials for game week two, wherein two teams, really highly rated teams, United and City. We'll see them for the first time. And as rightly pointed out in the essential forwards, Martial, 17 goals, 9 assists in the last season, had a really great preseason as well, and also scored and assisted a couple for France. So definitely looks in form. For me personally, I had him on my bench. I sacrificed 9 million so that as soon as United come back, I would not have to take a -4 going forward. So definitely, yeah, Werner for me, I like. All right, he got an assist, but I was expecting more of him. But yeah, given his ownership, it's really very tough to let him go for any other striker like Aguero or Jesus, which really appeal to me right now, given their very low ownership as well. Akshay, Bruno, after the post restart, project restart, Bruno is the one who almost single-handedly took United to third place last season. So, are you planning to get him in your team, given that you already have Martial?
Yeah, it's really difficult to look away from Bruno after the massive points haul he got after the restart. But then I think he's slightly overpriced this season after coming at 8.5 last season and it's 10.5. So that price increase is a lot. So currently I do not have that luxury in my team. So what I'm planning is after Havertz's poor show last night, I think I might switch to Rashford because I have 1 million in the bank. And as you already pointed out about Martial, So doubling up on United assets against Crystal Palace is not a bad option. So that is something that I have in mind. Also, Aubameyang could be like a set and forget for your captaincy because he faced the West Ham and West Ham looked out of sorts in the previous game. So Aubameyang could be one of the options. And coming to defense, I was really impressed by Dinia. So he bagged a clean sheet. He also got the assist for my man Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And so Everton faced West Brom, and they look really solid in midfield. I think Carlo Ancelotti deserves a massive appreciation for the midfield he has come up with with the likes of Alan Doucouré and James Rodriguez. So it's difficult to adjust to the Premier League in your first game, but those guys look really comfortable. And that is a good sign for you if you are looking for the likes of DCL or Richarlison going forward, because Everton have a green patch of fixtures. And coming to goalkeepers, I think De Gea is someone who is being overlooked by the FPL community. Because we spoke about this in our previous episode as well, that Dean Henderson's return is affecting De Gea's ownership. And United have a lovely run of fixtures along with Everton. So I think De Gea could be someone you can look at that price, 5.5.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, again, they are for me a little more on the expensive side, 5.5. So I would rather double up on United in the mid or and forward. But yeah, definitely Dine did catch my eye as well. Given that James Rodriguez was present on the field, he was not taking all of the set pieces. Dine was, given the opportunity to deliver crosses and the set pieces as well. So definitely does make a really uh, good choice for anyone who's looking for a sort of a premium price defender in Digne, but definitely Everton, the way that they've been playing and given the run of fixtures that they have, definitely somebody to look at. Anand, Bruno, Martial, again, I mean, all the three of us have had that love relationship with United assets since back from the project restart. So, are you also looking to double up or maybe triple up on United assets, or do you want to rekindle your love with Aguero all over again and you're ready to overlook Bruno for that matter?
So I'm planning to play a wild card, although I had a decent team, but I'm going a little bit aggressive. Not aggressive exactly, but this was my plan last season as well. So the plan here is, if you have to change more than two or three players, uh, why take a hit so early on in the season when you have a wild card? And also because we what we really witnessed was post lockdown form somehow carried a little bit, as we saw Vardy scoring goal. Then we even saw Jimenez scoring goal in game week 1. So even for that matter, even Salah continued his good form. So as we can see, the post-lockdown form is somehow still in place. Like, Sheffield still conceded goals because they were poor after lockdown as well. Although they were amazing, but then Sheffield was really poor post-lockdown, and we saw against Wolves they conceded a couple of goals. So I'm banking on post lockdown form a little bit, and because of that, I feel in the coming days the likes of Bruno, the likes of KDB will be essentials. A lot of people will have them. There has been a price rise for both Bruno and KDB, and that is a massive talking point and a turn off for a lot of people. But then what I personally feel is Bruno and KDB post lockdown or in the last season had one of the best key passes per matches. Then they even had one of the best points per match last season. They in fact had the best goal creation for 90 minutes as well. So all these stats do favor in their in do favor the pendulum on their side. Uh, but yes, I think apart from these boys, I really want to bring in Jimenez. We know that he's playing City, but then Jimenez is someone who's like the postman who always delivers, and he's that kind of a striker who always, if he's not scoring, he'll give you an assist. He's on penalties, so what more do you want from a striker? So all in all, I think I'm just gonna play it very simple as I'm using my wild card, and I'm just gonna bring in all those guns who are who usually fire for their teams. and keeping a one or two differentials here and there, maybe one in defense, one in midfield, and one in striker.
Yeah, definitely great points. And talking about Jimenez, after he does play City, then he has following games, follow-up games with West Ham and then Fulham. So definitely a great punt. And then in game week 5, they face Leeds away from home. So that might be a tricky fixture, but definitely great punt. Jimenez, he can be. I would basically, if I had to go for Jimenez, I would just wait a game week more. Just let the City game pass. But definitely great points made there, Anand. And with that, we come to an end of the essential discussion. A lot of essentials: City, United, Liverpool, Arsenal, all the big boys coming in. EPL is going back to normal. No more blank game weeks for the foreseeable future, at least. And also we have an EFL Cup as well in the midweek, so we'll be able to see any teams who are in action and definitely can make a pick considering the number of games and number of minutes that they play. Yeah, with that, we wrap up the essentials for game week 2. And now we move on to the differentials. And again, we have some really great names here. I see Jesus, I see Watkins pop up all of a sudden, and Foden and Shaw as well. Definitely great picks. But yeah, somebody who's finally, I made a mess of my goalkeeper selection was Martinez. I thought he'd be starting or at least featuring in Arsenal, but the day Arsenal played, he's been now transferred to Aston Villa. But then again, definitely it helps me not to, basically, I don't know how many clean sheets do Aston Villa plan to keep or might be able to keep. For me, I just still have them that they're not getting relegated this season. So Martinez might be a good sub, but they are definitely looking at Ryan and on Johnstone as well to replace him, given that both of them are 4.5. Also, Jack Harrison, dude, that Liverpool and Leeds game, man, that goal definitely opened my eye to Leeds asset. And given that as of right now, recording this video, Jack Harrison is only owned by 2.3% almost of the entire fantasy manager. So definitely, I feel that the Leeds assets are being overlooked, and same is the case with Eiling as well. And also, for my punt, since I don't have the kind of money that these differentials are on the screen, I would want to give a shout out to Jamal Lewis. He's also had a great game in the first game week. He gave 7 points and is definitely kind of a differential given his 2.7% ownership. People are not really panic buying him right now, but they're definitely selling away players like Trent and Salah as well to get in either in any other defender or KDB for that reason. Anand, differentials again. I mean, with you being a United fan, I do tend to take you down that Manchester City asset road, wherein you've had love affairs with Aguero as well, and Jesus as well, and KDB as well, and now given that you'll be wanting to playing your, you will be going to play your wild card. What is your strategy going in, considering differentials, and then subsequently we'll come on to the cheapies. But are there any specific players or teams that you're trying to attack from a differential perspective?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of defenders this season who can be categorized under the differential category, and a lot of 4.5 defenders actually. They are cheapies as well as differentials as well because of their low ownership. One of them you already mentioned, Ailing, and another player you mentioned was Jamal Lewis. We'll come back to them in the cheapies section, but for now, I do have a feeling that. I may end up going for Dallas and Ailing double up because they're playing Fulham, and let's see how that goes. If it works in my favor, I think both have the potential to bomb forward, either score a goal or give an assist. So both got really good potential. So I'm eyeing them as differential defenders. I'm also eyeing Harrison. You spoke about him as well. At the same time, I'm eyeing Foden as well. Again, it depends on how I can manage my funds because see, it's a wild card, and you really want to keep a team that you don't have to change a lot. So it will be between Harrison and Foden. Barnes, I think Akshay would like to talk about him. He has a love affair with him. First lockdown, he got him in. He couldn't carry on the hype post lockdown, but probably in the last game we saw Barnes was quite influential. One player that I really like, statistic wise, is Jesus, and Aguero is just coming back, and we might see him coming from the bench, as we have seen a lot. Whenever he has returned from injury, Guardiola always tries to manage him initially. So we might see Jesus coming back into the game straight away. And although Jesus faces Wolves, who are, who are not a, who are a really well-oiled unit, but at the same time, we all know what City is capable of. They can destroy any team on their day. So Jesus is another pick that I like. Uh, Regarding Johnston, I mean, we were talking a lot about his penalty records. He saved 6 out of the last 13. Make that 6 out of last 15. He was supposed to save some penalties, but he conceded two. But yeah, I mean, he saved 4 shots, and he looked quite confident, and his technique was something I really liked. He did not panic when Barnes just before they conceded their first penalty and just before they conceded their second goal, Barnes hit a low rocket shot to his near post, and he was so calm. He sat down and he saved from his legs. That is a really good technique. Although West Brom disappointed, but I think Johnson, uh, if West Brom bounces back, I think Johnston will have a key role in that. He has to be really consistent.
Yeah, great points. But yeah, I still feel that we still have a soft corner for John Stone, given that he comes from the United background as well. But definitely, he should have saved at least one penalty, giving Vardy, 2 goals from 2 spot kicks. But yeah, definitely. Akshay, there's this one certain player in the defenders who really had an amazing game week 1, and you for one were really happy and surprised, and not like say shocked, but yeah, definitely surprised as to that he uh, scored a goal and also gave you a clean sheet as well. Any thoughts on those?
Yeah, so I think you're talking about Castagna. So that's an amazing debut for your first game in the Premier League, and scoring a goal, it can't get any better. So he might be a little overpriced when you compare it with Justin. So, but then I think Castagna is more nailed on at right back or left back because he's really versatile, and I liked what he offered Leicester in that game. And coming to Barnes, I was really impressed by Barnes, but as a non-owner, it was scary to watch him get those spaces and get so many shots inside the box. So he could be someone you might look at because Leicester have a decent run of fixtures, as we pointed out in our previous episode as well. And he's the one who is leading the outlet for Vardy up front. So those guys are getting enough spaces inside the box, and it's only a matter of time when Barnes explodes. And coming to one of the forwards that people are maybe not aware of, so Ollie Watkins, he had an amazing record in the championship, and we had a preseason game ourselves last week. So he was the one who scored a diving header from Trezeguet's cross, and he looked sharp. So Ollie Watkins at 6 million could be way out of the Mitrovic bandwagon, as people found out. So he could be an option up front. And coming to another of the defenders that I'm not sure why people are not talking about. So Luke Shaw is the guy that I'm really looking at 5 million, because United's defensive record after the lockdown was really amazing. They kept a lot of clean sheets, and Luke Shaw was a regular. So what we realized is after Luke Shaw got injured, United lost that effectiveness from the left when Brandon Williams was playing, because Luke Shaw and Rashford, when they play together, they do those overlapping runs, and Rashford really loves Luke Shaw's outlet there. So at 5 million, he could give you a lot of assists and bonus points because United are racking up clean sheets. And in fact, he did that in the Aston Villa preseason game as well. So that is something that I was really impressed with. And yeah, Dallas getting lucky with an assist. I'm not sure how he got that assist because it was supposedly Van Dijk's assist, but it was given to Dallas, FPL being FPL. So very kind from their part. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still can't get over that Liverpool and Leeds game. I mean, what was going on? One of the good first game week games that I've watched in a while, and both Liverpool and Leeds going at it. Yeah, definitely. For I feel that Shaw for me right now, like United in general, their defense, given be it Wan-Bissaka or Shaw or De Gea for that matter, I feel that I still need to watch one game with them back and in the serious football when 3 points are at stake. But definitely great points here as well, and definitely a shout out to Ollie Watkins. I might be again would want to look at him for a game week or two, and then not necessarily jump from the Mitrovic bandwagon, but yeah, Shea Adams is not doing me any favors as well. So yeah, definitely a patience game right now. And with that, a lot of differentials have been covered, and now we move on to our final segment, wherein for game week 2 we look at the cheapies. So there you have it: Bamford, Mitrovic, Adams. Yeah, I mean in the last game week, two of these, or at least Mitrovic was sort of an essential, a cheap essential. I don't feel it that way. I mean, yeah, definitely given that he was injured and his minutes were being managed. So yeah, but he could have made a difference had he started the game against Arsenal, because there were a couple of chances that were missed by Fulham. But for me, I was one to that last moment gut feel to sub him out for Adams, and fortunately or unfortunately, it just made a difference of 1 point for me. So yeah, definitely. But Bamford, again, I feel that a lot of people have brought him in. It has kind of, they say him priced at 5.5. Now it's raised to 5.6, and a lot of panic buying has happened given the people who saw Leeds play Liverpool. But yeah, for me, I feel like definitely I'd rather hold on to either Mitrovic or Adams, whoever you have for now, and not really go into Bamford. I know it might look like a mouth-watering asset given that Leeds faced Fulham and did thrash them by 3 goals when they faced off against each other in the championship. Refer to our video with FPL Gym somewhere. We'll link it up. Definitely give that a listen as well. Akshay, any specific cheapies? I mean, Eiling, we've already talked about him. Lamptey, again, somebody who has that potential of giving assists and running down the wings as well. Jamal Lewis also had a good game. So apart, including all these players or any other player that comes to your mind for our listeners or for any FPL manager who's looking to get a cheap option, maybe either playing a wild card or taking a -4, because I think generally those are the kind of managers who would be asking themselves these questions, because most of us, at least like people who already are happy with their team, would be going for the big guns like we talked about, like Bruno and KDB or Sterling, that sort. So any suggestions for them?
Yeah, so you were talking about downloading Shea Adams. So I'm not really sure that is the right decision right now, because he didn't look bad in that game against Crystal Palace. And if not for Guaita's brilliant save, he would have definitely scored. So I don't think you should jump off the Shea Adams train so early. And talking about the Bamford train, his price, like he's one of the first price rises alongside Willian. So an interesting fact that I was just watching before this record is that Patrick Bamford scored in both of the fixtures against Fulham in the Championship last season. So that is something people look at when you go for players for a game week, maybe a punt. So Patrick Bamford is an amazing option at 5.5, but I'm slightly concerned about Rodrigo being available. So he came off the back of Spain's international game, and that could have been a reason that uh, he did not get a start straight away. So Rodrigo could be troubling Bamford despite the performance. And I also have a couple of cheapies in ASM, as in Saint Maximin and Jamal Lewis. So I really like Newcastle's performance despite Saint Maximin not being so effective. I think he'll offer a lot of threat with the likes of Callum Wilson getting forward. So I'm not really sure if I want to make that transfer now. And talking about Lamptey, I was really impressed by his performance against his former team. I mean, that boy showed confidence down the wing, beating defenders, chipping in crosses for Neil Mopai, who I'm not really sure why he missed that free header. He should have buried it. And really impressed by Melia's performance against Liverpool, as in going to the home of the champions and giving that performance. He looked amazing for a boy of his age, going to such a big stage. Good performance, yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And a lot of Leeds asset, as we talked about, like given their performance after Leeds went to Anfield and gave that kind of performance, it was really unfortunate for Leeds to concede that last minute or last moment penalty wherein it was 50-50% chance wherein Salah came on top. So yeah, definitely could have started their first game after 16 years back with a draw with that kind of a team at Anfield. Uh, I'm sure Leeds would have considered that as a win. Anand, I mean, there are a lot of players who, again, cheap essentials in Maximin and McCarthy and Melier. What are your thoughts on cheapies, and do you have any other players apart from these that you are eyeing on as well?
Uh, I'm really upset that I missed the Bamford train before he jumped off and became 5.6. Really liked Bamford against Liverpool. He worked his socks off. He ran and he was when the opportunity came, he was clinical as well. Uh, so that is one player. At the same time, Mitrovic, the moment he came on against Arsenal, he did held his ground and talks in the media, and as per Ben Dinnery was that he played uh, 180 minutes in the international break, and just before going over there, he had an hamstring issue. So that is why probably Parker rested him. So Leeds versus Fulham, battle of the championship will be a very interesting tie to see who comes on top. Probably it's going to be Leeds, but let's see if Mitrovic can, score a goal or two. Because he last season, I remember last to last season when he came, there were occasions where he scored a brace as well. So moving on to the midfielder, I think Trossard was really impressive. Like Trossard, there was Podence as well, who looked good in bits, especially in the first half. Podence looked really lively, but since Podence is playing City, you never know how the match is going to shape up. Although I don't want to, you know, how do I say, but Wolves is a team uh, that has been doing really well against City. So we can't count off Wolves against that match. Last season, they played two against City and they won two in the Premier League. So Wolves is a big team when it comes to playing against City. But then Trossard caught my eye in a 3-4-1-2 formation. He's been playing like a striker for them, and Trossard looks good. He takes shots. He has a lot of speed up front. He's quite composed. So he looked like a player. But my favorite player in this list has to be uh, Ailing. So like Jim pointed out as well about regarding Ailing, Ailing looked really nice against Liverpool. He looks like a proper defender. He's somebody who's uh, who's good going forward, and defensively he's very strong as well. It's not like something about Lamptey that puts me off is, although he had a great match against Chelsea, he made some really great tackles and everything. But then I think Ailing looks a little bit mature, uh, and could be his season. Uh, and you were talking about Jamal Lewis, Kshitij. So I just wanted to give you a fact about Jamal Lewis. He recorded three key passes in the first match. So that is, I was just thinking about this when he was in Norwich last season. He was an attacking left back even then, but uh, because Norwich couldn't defend properly, Jamal Lewis, we couldn't see the best of Jamal Lewis. But we know that Newcastle is a strong unit. At least they try to hold their ground, and because of that, probably Jamal Lewis will benefit. He knows that okay, maybe he can bomb forward, and his team is not so open at the back because Steve Bruce usually likes to keep his defense solid, now, barring some matches against the top boys of the Premier League where his team gets thrashed 3-0 or 5-0, something like that. But usually against the mid-table teams and all, Newcastle usually does really well. Jamal Lewis, he got an assist. Sorry, he got a clean sheet last time, but given his key passes per match record, we might see a goal or assist in the coming game. Uh, yeah, I think loads of cheapies this season. I'm really excited, especially in the forward section and in the defense section. Loads of 4.5, loads of 6.0 strikers. looking really good for a lot of us who are trying to make a solid, because midfield was always going to be one key area where a lot of managers would spend their money on this season. So I think really nice to see that we are blessed with some cheap and tasty forwards and defenders.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that comes at the expense of how expensive this year's midfielders are. Bruno, Greenwood, just KDB, like you mentioned, all of them having a price raise right from the beginning. So yeah, that does give us really juicy, kind of cheap essentials for any FPL team going forward. Well, and
Yeah.
now we move on to a new section that we try to establish in every video that we try and post out. We try to make this fun. These are all basically what we think about, or what our predictions are of the highest FPL scorers for each position in game week 2. uh, I picked Pickford, Eiling, Aubameyang, and Martial. Basically, Pickford, Everton do look really solid. He might not concede, given that they did not concede against Spurs. But yeah, Spurs did play average, but they did look dangerous sometimes. But Everton, all in all, did a great job in their first game, and I feel that Ancelotti will sort the defense out if he actually sees any problems with it. Eiling, as Anand pointed out, proper defender, can head the ball, might give a couple of crosses as well, or a key pass here and there. Maybe Bamford or anybody else from Leeds might be able to convert it. Aubameyang is again Arsenal face West Ham, so I feel that he'll be clinical. And Tony, just because of our love for the boy, and we hope that he brings us the 3 points given his preseason performance. Definitely looks like somebody who you should have in your team right now. Anand, any I see you and me both have Ailing, so definitely one of our favorites uh, going into game week 2. What considerations did you make going into your predictions for game week 2?
So these are the players, like you mentioned, top scorers in game week 2, as per what I feel. So Bruno, I don't want to mention much. We've already spoken about him a lot. Same goes with De Gea. Last season, United kept the highest number of clean sheets in all competitions in the top five leagues. So can't mention much about him. Can't mention less about him rather. Before I mention DCL, which Akshay had in his team, I also wanted to talk about Richarlison. So a lot of people have been talking about Jamie Vardy, uh, where Jamie Vardy scored a couple of goals. His XG looks really good. His Jamie Vardy's XG is pretty much between 1 and 2 right now. But then there is another debate that was going on. What is his non-penalty XG? And uh, anybody would like to guess what Jimmy Vardy's non-penalty XG was in the last match?
It's a very sweet 0.00.
So exactly. So Jamie Vardy was 0.0, and so that was the NPXG. But then a lot of people were already talking about that. So we mentioned a stat in our tables, which was NPXG plus XA. So what XA is actually, okay? You may not you may have a 0.0 XG like Vardy had, but because you have an XA of some whatever figure that is, so because of that, maybe you can still be an asset. Although Jamie Vardy's NPXG plus XA was also very less, it was 0.02. But Richarlison NPXG plus XA was 1.02, which was only behind Mane and Jimenez. So again, guys, Mane is a player that may not have scored because Salah, scored a hat trick. But Salah had an NPXG A of only 0.64. So and Mane had 1.09. So we all know that Mane is capable. So I didn't mention Mane's name here, but against Chelsea, expect Bruno and Mane both to be in points, for both to be getting points. But yeah, coming back to now DCL. Uh, so do you guys know who scored the highest key passes per match? Kshitij, would you like to answer this stat
Key passes per match. I don't know.
in
Maybe
game week 1? in game
I,
week 1? Just a
I
random
don't,
guess.
maybe James Rodriguez or Dine or
Okay,
somebody.
hold on to your thought. Okay, Akshay, would you like to go on this?
I would like to just give a tick mark to the answer.
Okay, so the answer is correct. It is James Rodriguez with 5 key
I,
passes last match, and he had the highest key passes in game week 1. So now one thing that Akshay told me even the last time was that whenever you see Everton attacking, the focal point in that team is DCL. So that is where I feel that DCL can be a really good uh, punt for this game week, or probably for a lot of game weeks ahead. But yes, it's just not DCL. Richarlison had a really good start, like I just mentioned about his MPX, XG, and XA. Uh, James Rodriguez had a pretty good start as well regarding key passes per match, and now you have DCL. So now you have Digne crossing him, you have James splitting all the through balls, and you have Richarlison for all the cutbacks. So I think DCL could benefit from this. Yes, guys.
Yeah, really great points. Really great points. Akshay, there's Dine, there's Aubameyang. We've spoken a lot about them. Leno and Wilson. I mean, what? How did you come to these two names?
yeah, so I like to shed some light on Callum Wilson. So an amazing striker's performance, typical number 9 performance from him, showing his experience. And if you look back at the goal, that's a typical number nine's goal, and just lifting his leg in front of the keeper and putting that in. Shout out to Jeff Hendrick for getting in inside the box. I'm not sure how he managed to get that space. And I think Callum Wilson at 6.5, he's an amazing player because he's a nailed on starter for Newcastle. Andy Carroll might be rotated in a couple of games because at that age, he's not going to play week in, week out. And I think Callum Wilson is more nailed. And coming to Leno, so Arsenal's defense has been really solid, and we saw that in the previous game as well. So they're facing West Ham, and the only threat that I see West Ham offering right now is the aerial threat through the likes of Suchek and Antonio maybe. But Arsenal are pretty covered there with the incoming of Gabriel. So despite the lapse of concentration in the first 5 minutes between him and Leno, after that, I think he really improved his performance, and that goal was the icing on the cake that you needed on a debut performance. That was perhaps an 8 out of 10. So I think Leno could bag a clean sheet there. That is my reason of putting him in the prediction for the highest Premier League scorers for game week 2. And
Make
I already spoke about Aubameyang because he's facing West Ham, and I don't see West Ham offering any threat. So he could be exploiting those spaces in behind Fredericks, and that is why I have put Aubameyang in there. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely, like Leno and Arsenal, even though like David Luiz is not playing any for the foreseeable future, and they have signed a new defender in Gabriel. But as you spoke about the 5 minutes of miscommunication between him and Leno, does still give me the jitters of trusting in Arsenal defense. So yeah, I don't really. I mean, they were lucky to get away with it. A team like Fulham might not have been able to capitalize, but yeah, again, like West Ham do have some really pacey players and some presence of mind is pretty awesome in say somebody like Suchek or Antonio, whoever is playing higher up the pitch. So yeah, I agree with all the three. Leno is okay. I'm ready to see all these. So yeah, guys, definitely it's been a good chat. Game week 2 just around the corner. Maybe I mean we still have to wait. The games are not coming as quick and fast as they were after Project Restart. So yeah, we definitely have some kind of a breather. And for all of our listeners, as always, thank you so much for supporting us. Please do follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FPL Escapades. And also, another thing is that if you've not yet signed up for the FPL Global League, please do. We are closing all the entries before the beginning of Game Week 2, wherein you have a chance to win an official 2019-2020 jersey of your own choice. We have a Discord channel. Please do join. Feel free to get in touch with us. And it's been a pleasure hosting yet another episode of FPL Escapades, boys. It's been good talking and chatting again. 37 more game weeks to go. And to all of our listeners, I hope we've been able to bring you value. And please keep supporting us. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Your support is why we do this. And yeah, I hope you had a great game week too. Thank you and have a good one. And may the arrows be green.